My Princess by Gary Cole. Illustrations by Elliot Arthur. A father held his new baby and very slowly rocked her back and forth until their hearts beat as one. And he sang, "I'll keep you ever after, I'll protect you always, as long as I'm here, my princess you'll be." The tiny girl grew until she was 2, and she pranced around the house, and she wore beautiful dresses, and she placed her best crown upon her head, and she drank tea and held court with her favorite stuffed toys. And the father always said, "She is my little princess." At bedtime, when she pretended to be Sleeping Beauty, he would approach his fair maiden and give her a kiss. Beauty would smile and sometimes giggle, and they would share great adventures and fight evil queens, and scrub filthy floors while stepsisters went to the ball, and carry delicious treats to Granny, and trip-trop across Trolls' bridges. And when her long lashes fell quiet and her wondrous eyes closed, after happily ever after, he would gently pick her up and rock her against his chest. Their hearts beating as one, he would sing, "I'll keep you ever after, I'll protect you always, as long as I'm here, my princess you'll be." The little girl grew, and soon she was 8. Fairy tales lengthened, and her father and daughter journeyed together. Her door always open, a big welcoming sign, and a story chair big enough for 2. Costumes he wore, wizard outfits, and more. They visited hatters who were somewhat mad, and avoided red queens who threatened their heads. They crossed over rainbows where good witches, friendly fairies, yellow brick roads, and red express trains all led to great wizards. They looked out nighttime windows and followed the brightest star on the right, straight on till morning, and daughter and father were often found asleep in the great story chair. The little girl grew and grew. She grew until she was 13 years old, and her princess crown lay frayed and discarded, tossed aside on the floor. And stuffed toys remained, but they were buried under clothes heaped high on the story chair. Her shiny crown was replaced with earrings. When stories were offered, "I'll maybe read later, by myself if I have time," and homework often appeared and headphones slipped on, and when father offered help, a hand signaled, "Be gone." But late at night, when textbooks were closed and her laptop ran low, the father quietly opened the door with the new "Private, Keep Out" sign and pattered across the floor. He looked upon his princess to ensure that she slept. He gently kissed her warm, soft cheek and remembered when he was her Prince Charming. And he picked up her hand and held it against his chest, her pulse and his heart beating as one, and he sang, "I'll keep you ever after, I'll protect you always, as long as I'm here, my princess you'll be." The girl grew. She grew and grew until she grew to 16. Her beautiful fair hair was colored purple and dark pink. She spoke to anonymous friends through her laptop and phone, and the stories were replaced by strange music that pounded and pulsed through the always shut door. She wore shiny jewelry on her wrist and neck and fingers. She even wanted to wear shiny stones in her stomach and lip. And when her father approached, she just walked away. But at nighttime, when the teenager was silent, often not before 2, the father opened the private "Keep Out" door and looked in from the hall to his sleeping princess. He blew a kiss to her warm, soft cheek and remembered when he was her Prince Charming. Then he imagined her hand held close to his chest, her pulse and his heart beating as one, and he sang, "I'll keep you ever after, I'll protect you always, as long as I'm here, my princess you'll be." The teenager grew. She grew and she grew, and boys appeared at the door. The father waved them away, and the daughter got angry. She would sneak out and away, and when the father caught her, she called him a troll. And she went off in loud cars to where the wild things are, with boys who were not princess, but monsters, her father feared. The teenager grew. She grew and she grew until she was a teen no more. Now a young lady, she wanted a place of her own. So she packed up her things and moved downtown. The father sat alone in the once great story chair, and the stuffed toys looked down from their dust-coated shelves. In the back of the left-open closet there sat a long-lost crown, and the father held it against his chest as tears fell down. But sometimes, on dark, lonely nights, the father got into his car and drove downtown. If the lights were lit in his daughter's apartment, he'd park nearby and dream of his princess. He imagined her beautiful hair dropping from the window. He imagined climbing up and padding towards his princess, their two hearts beating as one as they danced as if at a great ball. And when she got tired, he would kiss her warm, soft cheek, and would pick her up and carry her to her bed, safe and tucked in tight. Good night, sweet princess. And he would sit at her side, holding her hand against his chest, her pulse and his heart beating as one, and he would sing, I'll keep you ever after, I'll protect you always. As long as I'm here, my princess you'll be. One day, a real prince arrived, and the daughter fell in love. She would marry this charming man. She dreamed of the grand day and the beautiful princess gown she would wear, with a crown in her hair, and yellow flowers would mark her journey up the aisle, where a dressed-up old wizard would give her away. After that great day, the father took the young man aside. He held his hand firm, and he said, You'll keep her ever after, you'll protect her always. As long as you're living, your bride, my princess, eternal shall be. A grandfather he soon was, with 7 children to visit. They shared great adventures, and when they stayed the night, he'd tell them wonderful tales of fantastic wizards and magical wardrobes and rabbit holes that led to strange lands. He told them of Peter and the lost boys of the Neverland, and their eyes would weigh heavy after happily ever after, and he'd tuck them in tight, 7 kisses goodnight. One night, when the daughter and her great love arrived home late from a ball, they found her father asleep in the great story chair, with a book at his feet and her crown on a seat. And the daughter kissed his warm, soft cheek and remembered when he was her Prince Charming and she his little princess. She placed the crown on his head and picked up his hand and held it against her chest, his pulse and her heart beating as one. And she sang, I'll keep you ever after, I'll protect you always. As long as I'm here, my prince you'll be. If you enjoyed this story and would like to support the author, please visit www.garycole.ca, or you can purchase this book online at amazon.ca, amazon.com, or reasonpress.com.